Hello. Guys, welcome to Pablo's investing channel. Basically, we're looking at Bitcoin and the stock market this week. We've had the pullback as we've been talking about, as we've been expecting. You all know I've been talking about this, and this week I'm coming from the beautiful Melbourne for the just in time for the F1 Grand Prix. And this is in my background at the setting sun once again, sunset, beautiful sunset of Melbourne. And without further ado, let's jump straight into the markets. Here we are. I think if you've been watching my last few videos, if you click open any of them, I've been basically saying Bitcoin's going to do this bounce up and then hit this upper parallel blue line. You've got that orange line that goes all the way back there as well, and pull back. Next resistance is around this 40, say 41. Maybe even 42 area for support, or even as low as say around here, around 38. Then for a bounce up and maybe test the upper boundaries again. So I'm trying to get more clarity on what's happening to Bitcoin over the longer term, over the medium term, as in over the next few months. And we've just had some amazing clarity on that issue. I'll just share that with you folks. See, this is the Fed meeting minutes, which means they basically record what the Federal Reserve says every time when they go into a meeting. And what they're saying is basically that they have generally agreed, because it's like a number of people, like they got to raise hands and vote on what the policy is. And they voted that they're going to cut up to $95 billion a month from the central bank's asset holdings, right? Okay, so you've been watching what I've been saying, whether it's on video, in my Discord, you understand that I've been predicting 80 to 85 billion conservatively, and they've said 95 billion, so this is kind of spot on. And by the way, this video is going out to my Discord first, then I put it up on social media a couple of days later. So basically, this all comes back to what we said before. Previously, they had, do you remember in one of my earlier videos, I had said that there was a Fed president who was essentially saying that we're going to do a lot of, a lot of symmetry of scale. What do they mean by it? And I remember how during Trump's time, they did $50 billion of QT. So I said symmetry of scale. Back then, the Federal Reserve had balance sheet printed $4.5 trillion. Now they're at $9 trillion. So symmetry of scale would imply it would double that. So which would take it to about 100 billion. But however, to make it, to be conservative, we say 80 to 85. And now they're agreeing on $95 billion. And that's pretty bad news for the markets. So over the medium term, basically, this is what happens when you start doing QT. We've looked at these charts before. Let me just see. We've looked at these charts before, but it's a good reminder. So essentially, look, this is Bitcoin price, right? This red, green bar is Bitcoin price. This line here, basically, let's see, this light green line here is actually interest rates. So as we've said plenty of times, rising interest rates is actually nothing to be scared of, because as we saw, we have rising interest rates here, rising interest rates, they're hiking rates. But as interest rate is rising, Bitcoin price is actually rising and soaring, going parabolic. Not only that, this dark line, this purple line here, is actually the stock market. So the stock market is also rising, right? As interest rates were increasing. However, and also this purple line is the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield. As U.S. Treasury yields were rising, as interest rates were rising, basically the stock market here is also rising, and Bitcoin went on a bull run. So it's nothing to be scared of. As we said before, this is nothing to be scared of. But however, something's different here. They are now doing something called quantitative tightening, and they're going to tighten at $95 billion a month. This yellow line is when they did quantitative tightening, and they've only done it once in Bitcoin history. Well, they've really only done it once in US history, and this was end of 2017. And basically, when the yellow line started going down, which means they were selling the bonds they were holding, as it was going down, Bitcoin went from 20,000, right, 20,000, down to 3,300, essentially at like a 85% drop. Now, so Bitcoin last time reacted pretty strongly to it. Anyways, let's continue with it. So basically, I've gotten rid of the other lines here, so we can only look at Bitcoins and stock market. So here is the interest rate. As we can see, it's been going flat for a long time. This was after the GFC crash between 2009 all the way up to around 2015 when they started raising rates again. So we're kind of like here with when they started raising rates once again. So as you can see beforehand, the stock market basically rises very smoothly, right? Very smoothly without even any significant pullbacks. But as soon as they start raising rates, stock market starts going choppy sideways, and then but it keeps on going up, right? And then makes big choppy pullbacks and keeps going up. So essentially, what happens traditionally when they raise interest rates, is that stocks will still keep going up, but it's a lot more volatile. However, this time, basically, we are seeing the same thing. We're again going flat, and then we just started raising interest rates, right? As interest rates were flat at zero, the stock market was going up sideways, going up smoothly without much of a pullback. And when the market is expected correctly, the Federal Reserve was going to raise interest rates, and it just, took this big fall. So in theory, we're expecting it to go sideways and then pump up again. But however, as we have been saying, that this yellow line is QT, and if you look at last time, basically when QT started was actually something like in October, I think. In October. Yeah, around here. So when QT started, right, till around September, October, to the top, which is mid-December in 2017, in those like 1.5 months or 5 or 6 weeks, there was a parabolic run up in Bitcoin, which means when they start QT, according to experience, according to what happened last time, basically, Bitcoin actually made a huge run up, and then as QT went on and started accelerating, then Bitcoin crashed. Now, we don't know how much to interpret or to trust from that, because right now we've only seen it once. We've only seen QT on Bitcoin once, and that's what happened. So I would say initially when they're saying they're starting QT in May, and then they're going to ramp it up and get to the full. So they're not going to start at 95 billion. They're going to start at, say, something like 30 billion, 40 billion, and then they'll ramp it up all the way to, like, say, 95 billion. When they first start, we might actually have a big run up in Bitcoin or a bounce. Will it take out the all-time high at 69K? I don't really think so. I think stocks will. I think stocks will get up and take out. Chances that will take out the old high, because stocks haven't fallen by that much. But Bitcoin's come down 55%. Not saying it's impossible, but I don't think Bitcoin gets to its all-time high again. But I do think there will be a sizable bounce, and then we go down. Essentially, there are in the shorter term, so that's the medium term, over as in like say by in 3 months, 6 months time, where would Bitcoin go? That's my thinking on it. In terms of the short term, there are a couple of things I would like to draw your attention to, and that is the RSI and the OBV. So the RSI on Bitcoin has actually been kind of pretty accurate if you look at it. If we were to draw a long trend on the RSI, right? Say it bounced off this orange line a number of times, and then here on April 19, when this trend line broke, you can see that's 2021. That is a very good exit point, right? When the rising trend was broke. And then if we were to draw this resistance line, and then we can see it was broken here on the 22nd of July, 2021. And if you look at that, that would have been actually a good entry point as well for the bounce up eventually in Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin got up to 69K, and we can see it's bounced off, this support a number of times. And the time when it was broken, November 15th, it was actually a good time to exit. Again, as was bouncing, if we were to draw this trend line on the RSI, and when it was broken here around 30th of January, it was again a good time to enter. Now it's broken down again. So this RSI has given us a breakdown signal like 6th of April, so which is a couple of days ago. So around here, right? So how seriously should we take this signal? Well, it's worked once, twice, 3, 4 times, and worked pretty well. But however, see it here, around September, late September last year, that was a false signal. So it doesn't always work. Just because it breaks the trend line does mean, and if you sold here, that wouldn't have been good because you would have missed all this run up. It's not no signal, no indicator is 100%. So I'm just bringing it up. I'm saying this signal has worked well in the past, but it's not 100%. But on the other hand, if you look at the OBV, this is the OBV down here on balanced volume, which is essentially measuring price increase or decrease combined with volume. And you can see that this has also been pretty accurate because, see, in November, October, November, when Bitcoin went up to 69K, what happened is, see, it was actually much lower than the OBV in April 2021 when Bitcoin was already at 65K. So he was 65K. He was when Bitcoin was at 69K. That means the volume is not there. The volume is not saying that Bitcoin is actually going to is strong enough to make a new all-time high. So therefore, 69 Bitcoin went down and reversed. But if you notice, this is from July 2020. So this is almost a 2-year support line of the Bitcoin OBV and a 1-year long resistance line, and they make sort of a pretty big triangle here. And then it's bounced upwards, not downwards, but upwards, and broke above this resistance line. So it's staying above the support and broke above this resistance line, right? And it happened here around 24th of March, 23rd of March. So it's basically saying that we should have a bigger bounce from here. Now, of course, it can pull back and test this smaller trend line, or it can even bounce back and test this bigger trend line. If it does that, Bitcoin might go to, 38K, 37K, or maybe even 30K. But chances are it looks like it holds, and Bitcoin might go for another big bounce. And when the bear market comes, I'm thinking the OBV breaks down from this long supporting trend line. So far, the OBV is giving us a positive signal. The RSI is giving us a negative signal. But overall, I look at a number of different signals, and it seems to me it's Bitcoin is actually nothing's 100%, but I'm betting that Bitcoin's probably going to make a bounce from the low 40s or high 30s. but there's obviously, a chance of it breaking down. So I wouldn't go. I personally would not go all in on a bet like this. So everything's about probabilities. Nothing's 100%. I would say something like, say, 65%. It bounces from Bitcoin goes to the low 40s, high 30s, 65% chance it bounces up from there, and say 35% chance it doesn't bounce or crashes through that 38K support and goes all the way down to, say, 30K to retest 30K again. So that's my outlook for now. Thank you for sharing this time with me, coming from the beautiful Melbourne F1, and I'll catch you guys sometime in the future. Cheers, bye.